Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It's a calm morning. Hopefully, it looks like that the hot weather may just about be behind us. We've been in the 90s the last few days. Today's supposed to be in the upper 80s. And then after this week, it looks like we may be done with the really hot weather. Hopefully, I'm ready for it. It's been a pretty warm and very dry summer, so I'm kind of ready for it. This is going to be one of those videos that's going to hurt some feelings. Maybe a bunch of people are going to unsubscribe. It cracks me up. People watch and then I say something that's a little offensive, and it's like this snowball effect of people unsubscribing. I mean, it's been that way through cycles for the past 9-10 months, at least since last November. You all know what happened last November, and then in January again. But you know what? And this isn't me bragging, but I've been pretty correct about my warnings of what was going to happen, and maybe not specifically exactly, but definitely that it wasn't going to be good stuff. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. It's kind of most things, I don't know how to put it in words, but most things that happen over the last few years have not been shocking to me. Even though I didn't maybe know that it was going to happen, when it happened, it's like, oh, that's not too surprising. That makes sense. Or I'm not surprised that they would say or do that. What's happening now is a little... It's not shocking that it's happening. It's shocking that it is happening so fast, and so many people are cheering it on. It's kind of that part is blowing my mind. So anyways, I'll get into that here in just a minute. The president has been in the United Kingdom. It's been all over the news and the social media that he, met with the King of England, and they had a big banquet in the big ballroom and rode around in carriages and stuff. And there's a few strange things. Number one, this was not a very planned event. There wasn't really any big announcement ahead of time. It was just a few days beforehand. Oh, the president's going to England to meet with the king again. And then it happens, and it's this massive, big, state elaborate event. And the coverage is that, we've got to roll out the red carpet for the president, and it's a big deal, and people are kind of wondering, like, what's going on? But I think some explanations actually happened last night. Apparently, they had a big ballroom dinner banquet, a big, long, kingly table in the castle. And as the camera panned around to what appeared to be at least a few hundred people in attendance, just about every CEO of every big major globalist part of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, New World Order, Great Reset company was there. Heads of BlackRock, Blackstone, Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, all the AI corporations, all of them. All of the big top ones of the big companies that are bigly trying to rule the world, they were all there in attendance. So I don't think that it was just a big event just because of Donald Trump. I would say that there was something else going on. They're not saying, there's no even hint of indication of what the purpose. It's one thing to have a big dinner or whatever for the president. It's another thing to coordinate all of those CEOs with all of their busy schedules to all be in one place at one time. That's a pretty, and then we didn't even know about it. Can you imagine all of these top level CEOs, dozens and dozens of them all around the world that have busy schedules, 2 or 3 days ahead of time, say, hey, let's go, they got to fly schedule. This was not just a spur of the moment thing. And we have no idea what the real purpose of it is, but it's probably not good. Okay? Just saying. Probably not good. So that's happening. The Middle East, well, yesterday I said that I felt like the Middle East was probably going to work towards developing a NATO-style compact between them, at least the Arabic nations. And in the news, that's exactly what's being said, that Egypt has called for that. Saudi Arabia has already yesterday announced an agreement of a NATO-style agreement with Pakistan, that they will come to each other's aid. There we go. Come to each other's aid, which now means that Saudi Arabia has nuclear defense, technically, because that's part of the agreement. That Pakistan, if Saudi Arabia was threatened, existentially threatened, that Saudi Arabia could possibly use nukes to defend it. So it's happening just kind of like I said it would. For all of you that still believe that the president is the most amazing, greatest ever thing in the world, this may make you happy. Yesterday it was shown on social media in the news that a golden statue, a 12-foot tall golden statue of Donald Trump was erected on the national lawn, kind of out front of the Capitol building. Not directly out front, but out there in the mall, the National Mall. It's a golden statue of him holding a Bitcoin. Now, this is not commissioned and paid for by the government or taxpayers, at least it doesn't look to be. It is a private Bitcoin group that had this commissioned, but it looks like that they did go through the proper process of getting permits and everything to have it placed out there. So, at least now there's a place for people to go worship, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, that probably hurt some feelings too. Oh, well. Anyway, so that stuff is happening. Now to the part that's going to really hurt feelings. And everyone always takes things so incorrectly and stuff. Yesterday, the video that I made, don't you know that Antifa is paid for by all of these leftist organizations and foreign entities? Of course I do. That doesn't change the fact of that they could potentially, that they're training and that they're working on more violence. Or because that was the video is saying that, Antifa, all indications are is that they're in the far left, that may or may not affiliate themselves with Antifa, are preparing for more violence. They're preparing for more. And then, someone's like, oh, those little noodle arm wimps, they can't do anything. They don't know how to do anything. They're no threat. Really? Because there's been a lot of shootings and a lot of death over the past several weeks and few months with the school shootings and the obvious, Charlie Kirk, that may not all be directly connected to Antifa, but that far left trans and all that kind of communist ideology, they're sure doing a lot of violence. So yeah, I think that there is a threat there. I mean, you can go on believing what you want, but there's several graves over the last few months because of that ideology. Anyways, the very last thing that I want to talk about is the one that's probably going to get a lot of people set off. And that is, we are watching the First Amendment die in the United States, and it's a scary, sad thing. Tucker Carlson talked about it yesterday, so it's not just crazy old me; it's crazy old Tucker Carlson also. And there's been several other conservative people speaking out against this. I understand that there are things that people are saying about Charlie Kirk and all that are horrible. And I get it that the First Amendment does not protect you from a private business firing you or whatever. I don't care about that. If you get fired for that, you can get fired for whatever. I don't care. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the government officials, and many of the supporters are actually calling for investigations. They're calling for jail time. People like Laura Loomer, which apparently has the president's ear, is calling for it. The attorney general is stating that there will be criminal investigations for, people speaking out against this or that. The president himself has talked about it. He said that, and you may not have seen it in the news because it was before Charlie Kirk and people forgotten about everything before then. Just days before that, the president was out to eat in a public restaurant, and 4 women, young women, were in there and they were protesting against him. He says that he's turned that over to the attorney general and that they're investigating, looking into placing charges against them using the RICO law, which is specifically to deal with, organized crime, racketeering, things like that. Were these people that protested funded by, some lefty-wing organization? Yeah, probably. But, a lot of the right-wing protesters and right-wing people speaking, a lot of times those are funded by far-right and just conservative organizations. That does not negate the First Amendment, folks. And this open, blatant attack on the First Amendment and people justifying it and supporting it because it's against the far left and the cancel culture that is just exploded overnight against the far left is being justified as okay. 3 years ago, the far left was doing and saying the same kind of stuff against right-leaning people 3 to 5 years ago. And conservatives were losing their minds and talking about how horrible that is. It's the same thing, folks. It's the same thing. And if you think that they're going to do all this and use these laws and use this power to go after far left people, and they're not going to, and the government is not going to eventually come to you because you're not maybe the loyal, conservative, loyal Republican, loyal MAGA person, then you're crazy. Because that's not how government works. This is a very dangerous, slippery slope, and it's kind of blowing my mind to read the comments. Many of them probably are fake and bots and paid people in India, who knows? But it's nuts. It's nuts to see people very openly calling for people to be fired, for people to be investigated, for people to be locked up, simply because they made offensive comments. Yes, and their comments, many of them are horrible. They're wrong. I mean, I don't agree with their comments at all. But if we don't have free speech for everyone, then we have free speech for no one. I mean, this is one of the founding principle that has been held to for, the last couple of centuries, and that most people understand, which is why America tolerates, far left and far right speech. We don't like it. We don't listen to it, but it's allowed to be said because we understand that if we have a government powerful enough to take away the speech of one person because it's offensive, then we could take that speech away from anyone, because no matter what you're saying, someone's going to be offended by it. There's this Jimmy Kimmel thing. He's one of those late night people on ABC. I've never watched his show. I don't watch TV, or especially late night TV. And I've seen maybe a clip or two. I don't know anything about the guy other than he's a late night guy, and I don't care about him, and I probably don't like his content. Although, like I said, I don't know that I've ever really seen anything. But he made some comments trying to be comedic about, Charlie Kirk, and then the president and his style of mourning and stuff. And yeah, they were very offensive. They were incorrect, offensive, not very nice. But he's been fired from his job at ABC, which they want to do that. That's fine. But now the government is looking into a federal investigation. This is what I'm talking about. I know that right now conservatives, Republicans, and especially MAGA are cheering. Oh my goodness, finally it's our turn. They did it to us. Now we're going to do it back to them. That's not how a free society works, folks. We no longer have one if that's what we're doing. There, you know, the joke that's been going around, and the president has even jokingly said, oh yeah, you know, some people say I act like a dictator. Well, I guess if that's what they say. Now there are MAGA conservatives, very influential ones, openly saying that they want Donald Trump as a dictator. They're not trolling, they're being serious. This is dangerous, folks. If you still support at least mostly Donald Trump and think he's great, that's fine. Again, we have free speech. But to take government power and to use it against someone else because you don't like what they say, even as horrible as it is, and I have seen comments and posts and stuff from far left about Charlie Kirk and about other things that are just awful. They are horrible things. For a human being to actually think or say those things, it's horrible. But do we really want to start crossing the lines to where we get and criminalizing these things, doing investigations on people, you know, calling them out, you know? This is wrong, folks. It's just as wrong in my book. And we need to wake up and we need to realize what is happening. Things are moving fast. The far left and the far right are a bunch of crazy people anyways. We all know that. You know, the difference between, you know, some skinhead conservative or KKK or Antifa or whatever, they're to me, they're all in the same bag. But we have a free society for a reason, to allow that kind of thought. And the idea is that the best rises to the top, you know? Okay, let them talk. But we will win them with intelligence and ideology, because most people see that kind of stuff as being evil. Let them show themselves. It's really doesn't look good that the only way you can win an argument is by the big boot of government. And we're going down a very slippery slope, people. I mean, we've got National Guard troops in American cities, using them for police powers. We're doing criminal investigations on American citizens because of things they said that offended people. If this stuff was going on under Joe Biden, Republicans, conservatives, MAGA people would have been losing their minds. Just want to say that. I know you probably hate me now. For those of you that stayed, many of you are just very upset. Oh, you're just a left-winger. Yesterday I was told I was on the payroll of the same people that pay Antifa. If that's true, I wish they would hurry up and send me a check so that I'm not so broke all the time and driving a vehicle that I'm working on every other day, and just to keep it going. And all 4 tires right now have holes in them that I'm trying to keep up because I can't afford the tires. I mean, you know, if they're gonna have me on the payroll, you know, if George Soros is paying for me to say the things that I'm doing, I wish that it'd hurry up and get that check here, because, you know, things are tight. Anyways, wake up, folks. Not all is as it seems. Get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.